Hi, this is Hart, and this video is to Laura, Barbara, Margaret, who are the officers and board members of Wild Ones, and it's also for anybody else who may want to listen in. These are notes relating to planning for the January 19th event. That's January 19th of 2019. Issues to be addressed in this conversation and at the event. What do we want people to learn? So in a minute I'm going to show you another screen to show you some materials I've gathered together and some of the thoughts I'm thinking related to the learning goals of Wild Ones generally, and how this January 19th event and other events might be used to further those goals. So, question in this conversation and at the event: what do we want people to learn? What skills do we want people to have? Not just head knowledge, but actual skills, things people can do. How can we train people to ask the right questions and get answers to those questions? When you see a plant for sale, online, in person, what have you, what questions can you ask yourself about the ecological value of that plant? And where can you find answers to those questions? So, I picture us in the January 19th event sitting around with maybe plant lists from the local nurseries that sell native plants, and three come to mind: Woody Warehouse in Indiana, Drop Seed Nursery in Goshen, Roundstone Native Seed in it's somewhere south of here. It's a good place to get seeds. And there's also Ironweed Nursery, which is probably a good one. So in my opinion, what's missing in our community in terms of native plants, what's missing in our community in terms of creating home landscapes and public spaces that have ecological value, meaning they support insects and they support birds, etc. What's missing in people's skills and knowledge is, when you see a plant, how do I know what insects that plant supports and birds? How do I know how valuable that plant is for insects and birds especially? My humble opinion, if we take care of bees, butterflies, and birds, then everything else will take care of itself. For example, spiders are important, but if we take care of insects, we will be taking care of spiders at the same time, because, for one thing, if we take care of insects, we won't be spraying a lot of pesticides. Pesticides that kill insects presumably will also kill spiders. Plus, insects are food for spiders. So if we don't kill the insects, then we'll be preserving the food that spiders eat, therefore spiders can thrive. And the same is true, I think, for many other elements of our ecosystems. But let me show you a few other documents that I have. Let me show you some other documents that I have prepared for this little discussion. Okay, there's my top 100. You've seen that. I'll come back to that, but the list of the top 100 is one of the things I've pulled up here. Also, I'll come back to this. This is PICS, means plant-insect connections. I think plant-insect connections are a key to much of, if you want to know how native plants support ecosystems, then what we want to look at is plant-insect connections. Now let me look at other documents I may have pulled up. So, okay, here we go. So I've got here on this page, I've got the Native Plant Finder, and that is one resource we can use for this exercise. There's also Woody Warehouse offerings. Woody Warehouse is in Indiana, an hour and a half or so from here, and here's what they offer. Anybody can go to their website and download this spreadsheet. I looked, and this spreadsheet has 512 rows on it. It doesn't mean there are 512 different types of plants, because they have the same plant of different sizes. For example, here's the red maple. and they've got red maple in 1 gallon, 3 gallon, 5 gallon, 7 gallon, 15 gallon, another type of 15 gallon, different plant size. So anyway, multiple, well, let me go on to something else. But this is the Woody Warehouse offerings. It shows, here's the price, A grade up here, A grade and B grade. So price, and let me go to another. Okay, here is another version of my top 100 plants. This is on a spreadsheet. So this is the spreadsheet that I originally filled out by going to the Native Plant Finder, and when I click on Find Native Plants, I'm not going to do that right now, but originally I built this spreadsheet from the Native Plant Finder. So if it said Quercus or oaks have 346, they support 346 species. Now those numbers have changed a little bit. I'm going to have to go back at some point and change that 346 because those numbers have changed, but the ranking is still pretty much the same. So number 1 is Quercus or oaks, number 2 is Prunus or plums and cherries, number 3 is Salix or willows, and you could go on down through there, but that's what this one means. Over here is Woody Top 100, which is a spreadsheet that I did. So how did I do the Woody Top 100? I went to the Woody Warehouse offerings and I said, this is too many rows. I want to have one row for each species. So this Woody Top 100 is the Woody Warehouse offerings, and there's one row for each species, and it ends up being a total of 114 rows. So Woody Warehouse offers 114 different species, many of them in different sizes. So here's the common name, starting at the top. Now here's the common name, and here is the scientific name. Quercus alba is white oak. And then here's the number of caterpillar species that that plant supports. And here is the rank in the top 100 plants of Jefferson County. So that is, I think, a helpful resource. It's a way of rearranging Woody Warehouse's offerings so that we can see, start at the top with oaks. Scroll down a little bit and you get to prunus, which is plums. They have 4 different kinds of prunus. Scroll down a little more, they have 2 different kinds of willow. They have pussy willow and black willow. Scroll a little more, they have 3 different kinds of birch: yellow birch, sweet birch, and river birch. They have, the next group is acer, which is maples. Box elder is a type of maple. It's in the acer genus. So Acer negundo, Acer rubrum is red maple, Acer saccharinum is silver maple, and Acer saccharum is sugar maple. Come on down a little bit and you get into the hickories. The Caria is the hickory family, the hickory genus. Populus is cottonwood and quaking aspen. Pinus is pine. Ulmus is elm. Alnus is alder. Tilia is basswood. Juglans is walnut. Butternut is white walnut, and then there's black walnut. Fagus grandifolia is the American beech. You have Castanea, which is the hybrid chestnut. And I could go on down. You've got viburnums, you've got dogwoods, you've got rose, you've got hornbeam, you've got spruce, you've got witch hazel, you've got persimmons, hackberries, locust, sycamore, black gum, sweet gum, New Jersey tea. Now, I could go on, but you get the idea. Well, let me go on. So because it's important to know where we can get things. And also, drop seed, Margaret Shea can get these also. We want to give her business when we can. So it's important to know that Margaret Shea at Drop Seed can get these as well. So you have red cedars, you have buttonbush, redbud, tulip poplar, pawpaw, hydrangea, serviceberry, lead plant, indigo bush, red chokeberry, black chokeberry. You have northern catalpa, you have yellowwood, you have two different kinds of hawthorns, you have coffee tree, winterberry, American larch, spice bush, magnolia, buckthorn, sumac, currant, locust, and arbor vitae, bald cypress. Okay, so that's what. Now, I read through that whole list, but what order were they in? The order that they're in is the rank. Oaks are number one, but they're in order of rank. Oaks are one, plums and cherries 2, willows 3, birches 4, and so on down the list. And you go on down, and some of them are blank because I can't find serviceberry on the list anywhere. I do a search in the native plant finder, and I can't find serviceberry anywhere. I look for under Amelanchier, and I've looked under serviceberry. I can't find it. Lead plant I can't find. So these that are blank are the ones that I can't find. You have Kentucky coffee tree it supports 4 species. Kentucky coffee tree, you would think that's a native and it would support lots of species, and I don't know why it's so low there. Not a bad plant, it is native, but it doesn't support very many species of caterpillars. So this winterberry, I'm sure, is a good plant. Ilex verticillata, maybe Ilex. That sounds like a holly. I don't know. Anyway, there's some problems to be solved. There's some blanks to be filled in, and that can be, I think, a good resource right there. Now, I'm going to wrap this up in just a minute, but first I'm going to go to, let's ask the question, what is a good exercise for people to go through? Let's say we're sitting around, it's an indoor activity, we're sitting around planning our spring gardens, maybe even planning what trees we're going to plant this winter. And given a species, what do we want to know about that species? Now, so I went to the spreadsheet that I just showed you, Woody Top 100. I copied those into this spreadsheet because it gives us a lot of material to work with. So there are how many rows? There are like 84 rows. So I'm not saying we would do this all at once, but it's a place to start. Here's a plant for sale. What's the species and genus so that we can look it up online? How does it rank in the top 100? Is it native or not? Because you can have oaks that are not native. You can have willows that are not native. Most of these genera have non-native species in them. And so we want, just because something ranks high doesn't mean anything unless you know that it's native. Now, how many caterpillars does it support? Well, we can fill that in easily. Plant insect connections. So this whole thing about the top 100, I emphasize the top 100, but it's only one type of plant insect interaction. The top 100 is all about plants' interactions with caterpillars. And so there's a lot else. I mean, if we get into Heather Holmes' books, Doug Tallamy's books, and also Heather Holmes' books, we're going to know a lot more about plant-insect interactions than just the top 100. So, so what has this all been about? How did this whole 10-minute or so video come to be? Well, I'm trying to think of exercises that are good for our upcoming activities. We can do this kind of thing. It doesn't have to be tedious. Spreadsheets look tedious, and they are, but it doesn't have to be tedious. We can make it fun. So I just wanted to run this by you to show you some of the raw material I'm working with, some of the concepts I'm working with, and then we can talk about how to design this into fun activities. And let me go over here. I'm going to wrap it up this way. Okay, here's the 119 event, but I'm going to go down here and let's say events and activities this winter and spring. And I'm going to say here purpose or prevailing themes given a plant species, how does that plant species support wildlife, ecosystems, etc. So that's, we can make it fun, and it doesn't have to be limited to this, but to me this is the prevailing theme. To me the distinctive of Wild Ones is what to plant. What from an ecological standpoint, what to plant. So that's the prevailing theme. Now activities, indoor activities such as planning for spring, shopping activities, going to nurseries and applying our knowledge by speculating as to what is native and what is not, equipped with what we've learned from Top 100, Native Plant Finder, Doug Tallamy's books and videos, and Heather Holm, also Xerxes Society, online resources such as Missouri Botanical Gardens, etc. Okay, that's about all for now. Please let me know what you think of this, and we'll go from there. Thanks a lot.